Hey, welcome. Welcome Zodiacs. Welcome Rainbow Warriors. This is kind of like my new word, Rainbow Warriors. This is G with Allastrology. And I'm going to do another short little talk here. This one is going to be about this month of October. I know I already did one video. This one is going to be focusing a little bit more on the energies of October that are very complex. So we're going to be talking about Venus. We're going to be talking about Mercury. They're both in Scorpio. We're going to be talking about the North Node, the transiting North Node. Now, in the individual readings that I did for October with the rising signs, hold on, I got to get myself straight. I have this tendency to be leaning for some reason, and it's not good. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to dive a little bit deeper. Actually, that's a Scorpio word, dive deeper into giving some clarification as to how you can recognize what's going on while it's going on, okay? So one of the first indicators would be to take a look at where is Venus and Mercury in your chart. Now, they're going to be big role players in what's going on. They are in Scorpio, which means it's all about relationships. Scorpio is about bonding and intimacy. Well, with Venus and Mercury there, let's see. Venus is very receptive. Venus is about things being harmonious. Mercury is about communicating, making contact, talking things out, making the air clear, making things visible, okay? Mercury is Gemini. It's the talker, okay? So those are both in Scorpio. What's Scorpio? Scorpio is about a relationship that's bonded, that's deep, that's intimate. Again, doesn't have to be sexual. So take those keywords, right? Harmonious, deep communication with someone that I'm deeply bonded with. Okay, this is huge. Now, a little later in the video, I'm going to explain some of the other energies that are going to be going on that then dip into November. And actually, it's really more optimistic and positive stuff. This whole video is very, very good, actually. There's a lot of optimistic news, so to speak, in this video. It's a deep, transformative month. And so I just took a moment to go over, after doing everybody's charts individually, the rising sign readings, there was just this common theme that was running through all the readings. And I thought it's worthy of spending a little bit more time with it. And this is coming down to an emotional security, establishing an emotional sense of security in each and every one of us. So what the heck does that mean anyway? Emotional sense of security. Well, where does that all begin in our life? It begins in Cancer. It begins when we're children. The sign of Cancer is our childhood. And in our childhood, it's where we first begin to have in our inner realm, it's where we start establishing what feels good and what doesn't feel good. It's kind of like a psychological thing. So it has to do with our heart. It has to do with nurturing and mothering. So however that worked for you, for a lot of us, our childhood, it might have been super rough. Okay, some people, had things a little bit more balanced. Others, their childhood could have been like that. So at this time, there is this, I talked about it earlier, that there was this sense where fire, like the full moon fire, literally was going to be burning away parts of our ego, parts of our emotional body as well. Okay, not just the ego, but anyway, it's complicated. We tie a lot of that stuff together. They feed each other, is what I'm saying. What I'm really seeing and hearing and understanding is that, and I've been experiencing it too, right along with you guys. Like my journey is your journey is my journey. We're really going through this stuff together, and trying to make sense of it by using astrology as the tool to make sense out of it. Well, think about this. When we're in childhood and we grow, we leave home with a certain sense of what home was like, for good or for bad, right? Whether it was positive or negative, we attach to it in some way. We identify with it, and we carry it with us. We like, as human beings, we're creatures of habit. We like things to be familiar, okay? So a lot of times we attract things to us as adults that may not be the healthiest things because it's what we grew up around. We were familiar. And when we're familiar with something, it gives us a false sense of security. In reality, it's a false sense of security because it could be really bad for us, but for some crazy reason, we feel good at the same time without recognizing it's not the best thing for us. So this month holds the opportunity and the potential. Actually, I think it's more than a potential. I think it's happening. I think we're in the process of it right now, that this is occurring where we are burning away. I have the words written down, fire by friction. I had the words written down, we're burning away our fear. Because Scorpio represents our fears, because Scorpio's deep, right? We are going to be purified by fire. What does that mean now, purified by fire? It means nothing more than releasing that which no longer serves us, releasing our emotional baggage. And I know like that's not the most positive way to say it, but in essence, that's what it is. Holding on to fears, holding on to thoughts that we had because we were familiar with them, because some of these things were from our childhood. Okay, some of these things were what we were taught. And so as adults and in this time, this energetic infused time that we're living in, especially now astrologically, when I'm looking at Venus and Mercury and the fact that Mercury is going to be, along with Venus, they're going to be trining our North Node. The North Node is in Cancer. Now we've been dealing with this all of 2019, which is, the North Node is, this is what you're working towards. This is what I want you to do. As a collective, this is what we're working towards, okay? Because that's where it's transiting. Transiting means current location, okay? That's all transiting means. And the reason we use the word transit is so that we understand we're not talking about where the North Node is in your natal chart. If I were to say your North Node natally, that means that's where it was located when you were born. If I say transiting North Node, that means it's where it's currently moving, where it's currently, traveling at the moment, up there, right now. So when we talk about the transiting things, we are all experiencing it. The difference and why it's important is, how does that make sense to how the energetic setups of when I was born natally? Because then you've got the natal setup and then you've got the transiting planetary movements. See how complicated it can get? You've got energetic level, energetic level, energetic level. You have all this compounded energy. And so it's, well, no wonder life is so damn complicated. You look at the astrology of it and you're like, holy shit, makes sense. So North Node, Cancer, home, family, my childhood home, my inner well-being, my space, my safe space, where what I need emotionally to feel good. What I need emotionally to feel stable, to feel safe. That is the sign of Cancer, okay? What do I need to nurture myself? Which brings up my next point. Because of the fact that we're going to have a trine, which means ease, from Scorpio, from these planets in Scorpio, which is Venus, which is Mercury, they're going to be trining, which means beautiful conversations, very easy conversations. It's like we're going to the table, we're all sitting down, and we are having a wonderful discussion where we're putting everything out on the table, and I'm talking deep stuff goes out on the table, and we're learning how to talk about those deep emotions. And it's being received. We understand each other. We're willing to listen to the other person because it's in a beautiful reception. It's called trine. It's sweet communication that's going on. It's communication where you can just say it and they understand you. They get it. They say it and you get them. There's this deep resonation that's going on in communicating. So this brings about like the when that stuff gets talked about, there's like this grand release. I heard somebody else mention it, that it's kind of like it's just, I call it a fading away, a dissolving of stuff. You basically just saying, you know what? I'm done with this. I processed it. That's one of the words I've written down. Processed it. It's done being processed. I don't have to mentally go backwards anymore and think about that anymore. I'm no longer going to be chewing on that. I've spit it out. I'm done. And so this is happening for the month of October, which is bringing about a new degree of understanding for each of ourselves. In other words, we're going to be having some emotional repairs. Now, think about this. When you can emotionally repair, when you do some emotional healing, that is an internal thing. And the teachings are that you have to always go within. You do the work from within, and the without will express, will shine, and will reveal that. It will become that, okay? So this is huge. Has the potential to do some phenomenal things for a lot of people I know who've been going through a lot of physical issues, physical problems, physical frustrations, slowdowns, setbacks. I feel like this is an energetic clearing, okay, emotionally, with our emotional body. Okay, so speaking about our emotional truths and the harmony that's going to be assisted by Venus and Mercury, this might be tricky because speaking about our deep emotions, well, we feel vulnerable and Scorpio is fearful. But there's this, like I said, this setup happening where it's going to be good. You're going to have support. Now, in my research, I've come across some people making a statement about the date October 10th. And today's the 9th, so that's actually tomorrow. I'm going to hopefully have this video published tonight. We'll see. But, you know, I'm looking right now at the astrology around that. And I don't want to say that it's, I am going to disagree on the 10-10. I know it's convenient to say 10-10 because it's, wow, it's 10-10. It's October the 10th, 10th month, 10th day. But I see that there's a beginning on 10-10, and I see it evolving and growing. I see that growing to becoming more compatible as the days move on, the few days. So there's like a 5-day window I would give this, okay? But I see that like the 11th, the 12th, there's that time period where it become, in other words, I'm saying there's not a deadline on the 10th, okay? That's basically what I'm saying. So I have a few questions I've written down and I want to share them. And these are questions for you to ask yourself and to answer to yourself. And by all means, if you want, comment your answers below. I love hearing from people. I love the feedback. I love to feel and to understand that, you know, this is of some value for somebody. That all this stuff up here and all this desire I have for this topic, that it's helping people in their lives. So some of the things you would want to ask yourself: what was missing in my childhood? What was missing in my childhood? What was emotionally missing in my childhood? I realize we could all think of a lot of things. Well, I never got that one thing that I wanted for Christmas. I'm not really talking about that because this is an emotional conversation and it's deep emotions. So you want to ask yourself, what was missing in my childhood? And if you need to, write that down, because you might not have an immediate answer. Some of you may know like right away. You're like, damn, I know the answer to this. What's something else I had? I also want you to ask yourself, basically for the last 6 months, and even of 2019, what has had you trapped? What has had you trapped? Where in your life were you feeling stuck? Like there was this major stall. Things just stopped moving. Just almost, you didn't know if there was a freaking heartbeat at times. What has had you trapped? What made you slow down to the degree where, yeah, you felt like you were at a stop sign and it was never turning green? Where was there a major discomfort, major tension? This would be at a deep level. You can answer these questions and you're going to receive revelations. You're going to have better understandings about yourself, things about you, maybe the shadow side of yourself, things about yourself that you didn't, because that's Scorpio, things about yourself that you didn't allow anybody else to see, things that we're not proud of, things that we think that if other people know about, they are not going to love us. Because ultimately, that's kind of a Scorpio thing. Scorpio is so deep, ultimately buried deep inside of Scorpio, there is this fear. And that Scorpio fear, which this month is going to burn it away, okay, if we take a hold of this, harness it, and hold ourselves responsible and say, you know what, I really want to do this. This is important to me. I really want to grow. I really want to evolve. I really want to be free. I want to burn the fear away. So recognize there's this fear in this area of your life where you felt if you revealed this part of yourself, others wouldn't love you. Now, this brings up this next part in here. Where is Scorpio in your chart? I know I mentioned it earlier, and you may not have your chart in front of you. We have the Zodiac Starter Pack. We have lots of opportunities for you to engage with us, and I will supply you your chart. If you don't even want the chart, if you didn't want to get that deep into astrology, that is absolutely fine. All you got to do is comment down below your birth information. I can pull up a chart on my end for you. I can look up where Scorpio, like I'm looking at a chart right now and I can tell this person, you have Scorpio in your 6th house. And why is that important? Because that's the house of work. That's the house of their health. That's the house of their projects. That's the house of domestic animals. That is the house. Anyway, you get my point. It tells you where in your life this fear is. When you have a better understanding, because a lot of us like, okay, well, which fear are we talking about here? This would be a very deep fear. And this is a time when if we're gonna acknowledge and recognize that fear, we can have a better understanding of it. And then when we can see it, we can help clear it away. We can help process it. We can pull back the curtain and let the light shine right on it and let it just burn it right up. And we'll never have to deal with it again. That's what I'm saying. This month has the potential to deal with shit that's been buried deep that we have just decided it wasn't there any longer because we couldn't see it, which we know is not true. Crap that we bury ends up manifesting physically in our bodies, and then we have bad health. There's a connection. Okay, you can't hide the shit. But we have this opportunity to clear the air, to clear our bodies, to clear our auric field, to clear our emotional field. Accepting the degrees of me which only I have seen. Some of these degrees are degrees that, that we keep hidden from others. And so we want these revelations. Once we recognize and acknowledge these things, and then accept them, we can then validate who we are as a whole human being. And again, it's something we'll never have to deal with again, because when I asked those questions earlier, ask yourself, what was missing in my childhood? You know, think about that question. What do I do with that? Fine, I write it down. Maybe I have 3 or 4 things. Maybe I only have 1 thing. Well, what do you want me to do with it now? I want you to take responsibility for yourself. And I want you to give yourself that which you lack. Because that is ultimately what being an adult is. It is recognizing what was missing and saying, I need this. But not projecting that need, that sense of somebody needs to take care of this for me, onto another individual in your life. No. You need to take a hold of it and say, I need to do this for me. I need to supply this to me. This is called loving myself. That's what that means. Whatever area in your life, whatever degree of you that is lacking in any way, shape, or form, sure, we can point fingers and say, well, my mom and dad did this. My mom and dad didn't do that. Or I never had a mom and dad. We all have that story. We all have that same lacking history in some way, shape, or form. The goal is to get out of a lacking mindset and to say, okay, I recognize there's something missing here and I need to take care of it the best that I can. And if you need help in that, then you seek help in how you can take care of yourself, right? It's called self-help. It's not a matter of taking that need and projecting it onto somebody else and saying, well, I need this from you. You need to give this to me. I don't feel loved because you're not doing, back it up. Understand where it's coming from. Get to the root of it. This came from childhood. It's not because of the current relationship that you're in, right? So that's what this whole month is about. It's really about recognizing stuff that's been buried deep and healing it. And remember what I said about the healing. Once you've healed this stuff, you're never going to have to deal with it again. You're going to get to move forward in a free sense of self. A new degree of you will emerge. And there's other help that I talked about in the specific charts. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I did readings for rising signs. Okay, I did specific readings for all the rising signs in the zodiac. And this would apply to you if you know what your rising sign is. If you don't know what your rising sign is, comment down below. Say, gee, I need to know what my rising sign is so I know which video to watch. Because typically, all the videos you watch, whether it's on YouTube or anybody else, they're basing them on your sun sign. And I'm letting you know, if you want a more accurate reading, do yourself a favor, find out what your rising sign is and watch the video. Okay? Whew. Okay, so what else do I have written down here so that I don't miss out on anything? Understand that going into this whole Scorpio energy and the deep healing, it is seriously an ability to go deep, to go real and raw without being hurtful. Those are to be your intentions. So in other words, the others get to be real and raw without being hurtful towards themselves or towards you, and the same you towards somebody else. It's about getting down and being honest. And remember about those Scorpio fears of, I can't be loved. You need to deal with them. You need to love yourself. And you'll have this expansion and this awareness, which then leads us into November, okay? I already talked in the specific videos about the Mercury retrograde that's coming. But there's another overarching energetic theme that we've got. And if you do this kind of work now, you're going to get more benefit out of what is coming in November, okay? Remember what I'm always saying about astrology? It's cumulative. There's no, God, it reminds me of math. When I was a kid, like I hated doing math. And so I wouldn't do the homework because I had a hard time and I sucked at it and it took me forever, I felt like. So I thought I was discouraged and so I didn't do it. Well, that shit caught up with me. You cannot not do it. And then all of a sudden think you're going to be able to understand trigonometry or physics one day. It doesn't work that way, you know? So you have to go all the way back and start from the beginning. You got to do the basics and just learn the fundamentals. So you want to just keep up with this kind of stuff. And it doesn't mean I'm sitting in my room by myself doing kumbaya and lighting candles and spending hours journaling. No, it's more about being aware, having an established sense of awareness of conversations and of whether I react or respond to people during certain life experiences. Okay, think about that. What is the difference between reacting and responding? You want to be more responsive, not reactive, okay? Now, all of 2019, there has been, we know this, I've been talking about this, Miss A and I, Pluto is in Capricorn and Saturn is in Capricorn. Yes, we've been talking about big government business, major structures in the world, whether it's religious structures, governmental structures, big time-honored traditional type of structures are dismantling and experiencing a death to some degree. Businesses, right, brick and mortar, we all know, we've been watching that. So there's a lot of different degrees of how that's been happening. But in our personal lives, in our personal charts, what does that mean? It means a lot of us have been professionally trying to figure out what it is we're really supposed to be doing now. Like, I don't want to be doing what I did. You know, I ran a DQ for like 25 years. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm done. That was then. This is now. What do I do now professionally? What do I do? That's what this is about. That's what's coming in November. Make sure you're doing the work in October right now, because in November, we've got Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto. They are all, they are all moving direct right now. But November brings a time of when there is more of this revealing and support to go forward confidently and support from the universe to really get our hands dirty in what we know is our new, basically our soul's work, our professional calling. I got a cat coming. Our sense of purpose. The time is here. Okay? Come on, girly. So I want you to just, hopefully this is helping you in some way, and that you can really take this forward with you and do something with it. Zoe, what you gonna do? She's like, I want to stick my butt in your face. Okay, so I just want to establishing emotional security, no more going backwards mentally. Okay, remember what I said? We chewed on it, we spit it out, we're done with it. That November thing I told you about, I just gotta go over these notes real quick to make sure that I've tapped on everything, because there's always something I turn off the camera and I'm like, oh damn, I forgot this or that or this other thing. But that is just about it. The only thing I didn't say, which I'm going to close this with, is that have faith. This is involving Saturn. Saturn is about, if you've done the work that I've asked you to do, I'm going to reward you. But you just have to do what I've asked you to do. But you will get rewarded. Because anything that we begin in Saturn, anything that we work on with Saturn, the reason Saturn slows us down is it has a very high level of integrity. It has a very high level of quality. And so it wants us to produce a wonderful product, whatever that may be. And it might be a new being, a new me, which I believe it is, because we have all these other things happening in the charts, which go watch the other readings and you'll find out what that is for you. The revealing is going to be permanent. This is a permanent good change. It's not like a temporary thing. This is a permanent thing. It involves Jupiter and having faith, because that's what Jupiter represents. It represents the wisdom and the higher knowingness and having faith. Jupiter represents our belief systems and our spirituality. And so, well, that's it. That's all I got to say. Zoe's starting to chew on paper, so I'm going to end this. But remember, people, all in life, everything is all astrology. Bye.